All right, well, we're getting started here. So tonight we have our Detox Workshop. So we're going to kind of go through a couple things. I'm going to actually start off kind of reading something that I read a long time ago, and one of my friends read to me recently, which it just kind of like shows you what our day looks like typically. So let's just say you wake up from sleeping on a mattress that was coated with a flame retardant chemicals emitting formaldehyde gas and a carcinogenic brominated substance which your body readily absorbs all night. Drinking water from a plastic bottle, you instead hydrate your body with phthalates that cause cancer and infertility. Walking barefoot towards the bathroom on synthetic carpet, your skin absorbs benzene, styrene, and several other cancer-causing chemicals used to treat carpet. Once in the bathroom, you splash your face with tap water laced with fluoride and chlorine, both carcinogens to the human body. You open up a plastic bottle of Listerine mouthwash or similar brand, gargle half a dozen flavorings and coloring chemicals. You pick up your cancer-causing fluoride crest toothpaste, full of all kinds of toxic ingredients, including titanium dioxide, aspartame, and artificial coloring. You raise your arms and apply your deodorant, which contains several chemicals, including aluminum, parabens, and that are hormone disrupting, by the way. Propylene glycol, which is also a lubricant and suspected cancer agent. Carcinogenic phthalates to hold fragrance and color, and 100 different chemicals disguised under the name fragrance. According to the FDA, we average using 9 personal care products daily containing about 126 chemical ingredients. So let's kind of just get the day started here, right? Okay. So then oh, don't forget your prescription medications. I'm not even going to go into all that there too. But then you rush into the kitchen, pour yourself a quick bowl of cereal containing genetically modified corn or soy, high fructose corn syrup, which contains heavy metals, and nearly a dozen synthetic chemicals and food additives. And then barely into an hour of your day, you haven't even left your house, and you've been absorbing hundreds of synthetic chemicals. You haven't even yet walked outside and encountered the harshest toxin in air generated by car exhaust and manufacturing. Don't forget about the toxins waiting for you at your workplace, lunch, and fast food and processed snacks that you will enthusiastically devour throughout all the day. So this is the typical life of what most people live. How are we not toxic? We are all extremely toxic. And so tonight we're going to talk about how do we minimize that factor? Because we can't completely eliminate all of it. So what do we need to do to be moving forward, moving in the right direction, to start eliminating as much as we possibly can and making those better choices? So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right? So if you haven't yet, here's our LRQ. This is a great one for you. If you haven't done this test before, just pull out your cell phone. I actually told you to pull out your cell phone at a talk. So you pull it out, and you just pull out your camera, and you're going to take a picture of this little QR code right here, and it'll pop up a little thing on your screen. All you got to click on it, and it'll take you to a website. You can fill this out. It'll send you the results. It's a little like 20 questions. You fill it out, answer the questions. It'll send you the results. Send me the results, and then we can talk about it later if you like. So just kind of quick little thing to get you back into your life.
If we've done that questionnaire a couple times, does it send you updated results every time we do it?
Yep. Yes. So go ahead. Go for it. Just a kind of a quick little quiz or test for you that way. So.
You want to actually do it right now?
No, you don't have to do it right now, but like I said, take a picture of it right now if you want, if you're thinking about doing it. So, good? All right.
Yeah.
So I'll move on if we need it. We can come back to it here later if we need to, when we're done. But I want to give you guys a chance to quick do that here. Get it? We're going to get it? Well,
Somebody get it? There you go, and then you can fill it out.
All right, so that's your daily toxic life that I just went through here. So all the things we go through. So what our purpose is, obviously our mission here first is to help you discover and restore your health, hope, and wholeness, to live a life that you were meant to live a life free from interference, to live to your God-given potential. And so that's what we're here to do. That's our mission of our office. Part of the purpose of Max Living, and we're to be the standard of natural health care where everyone is empowered to live to their full potential. And so this is what we want you guys to be what you were meant to be, and help you get there. And so that's why we're here tonight. That's why we're doing this. That's why we do talks like this, workshops like this, to help you guys get to those points. So let's get through. So according to we talked about how much we're exposed to over 2 million toxins every single day. 2 million. All right, how do we possibly combat this? This is stuff that we're dealing with on a daily basis, like I said. And so where we get all these chemicals are coming from, so that's what I wanted to go through here. I mean, these are some signs that your body is completely overloaded with these toxins. So if you have trouble with weight gain, you have fatigue, skin problems, muscle pain, spasms, constipation, have some things, headaches, migraines, mood swings. These are just some of the warning signs that your body is toxic. So every one of us knows someone that has at least 3 of those things. Pretty much almost everyone has at least one of those at any given time right now. That's how toxic our bodies are and what we're being exposed to. So how do we start to eliminate that? And so it's not, a lot of people say, I think it's their genetics. So when I talk about, like, say, cancer, it actually, 95, only 5 to 10% of all diseases have anything to do with genetics. It's actually our environment. What are we doing? And so we look at it, it's all driven by toxins. So every disease process is either a deficiency or a toxicity, and most are a combination of both. And so we look at especially cancer. That's a huge, I mean, we're talking about all these chemicals today. In almost every one of these chemicals that we talk about, cancer is one of the problems with it. So that's why we're going to talk about this so much. And it's the dose that makes it poison, right? Because now, you've heard the story of the woman that wanted to get rid of her husband, and she started putting a little bit of arsenic or rat poison in his food every day, and eventually, well, that's what it is. It's the accumulation of those things, right? It's not the one bowl of cereal is not going to kill you, right? But if you're eating cereal every day for the last 40 years, you can see how that really adds up, right? We're going to talk about water. We're going to talk about the food that we eat. We're going to talk about the cleaning products we use. We're going to talk about all those things here today. And how do we manage this? But if you're constantly being bombarded by it every single day, at home, at work, at this, how do you function? How do you get through that? And so that's what we're talking about. And this is why we have so many of the problems we do have, is because our bodies are so toxic and we're in such a toxic environment. So the dose is the key. So, but first we're going to go through the top ones here. We're going to go through some of the top toxins here. So I'm going to list off some of the names of some of them. I know a lot of you guys don't know exactly what those means. We can kind of break that down a little bit here too if you want. But phthalates, you're going to see that a lot, especially in your personal care products. BPA, that's your plastics. VOCs, MTBE, styrene, mycotoxins, you're going to see that more in a lot of your more food stuff. Heavy metals and so many things right now. We look at, remember how there's we don't want your lead paint and things like that. Well, lead is one of those heavy metals. But we're going to talk about cosmetics in a little bit, and that's in a lot of your makeup that you're wearing. Endotoxins, pesticides, which are sprayed on all of our food nowadays, especially then plus us living here in Iowa. There's fields around us. There's no way we're not breathing that in just from them spraying it on the fields around us. And then PTFE, we're going to talk about that a little bit here too. So this is just some of the ones I wanted to go through here, but we're going to break that down. Where are these found? We're going to walk through like your food, your water, your cosmetics, cleaners, containers that you store things in. These are all ways that we're exposed to these on a daily basis. So I want to break down each one of these categories here. So first of all, we'll look at your cleaners. We'll look at your cleaners. Now we kind of have some examples that we used here that we put up here for you guys. A lot of your cleaner things. So this is the bad stuff here. How the Environmental Working Group has agreed on this, and that's a great resource if you didn't know or didn't use. EWG.com, or you can even get the app on your phone. It helps you tremendously, where you can actually even go to the store and you can even type in what it is, or even just scan the barcode and it tells you if it's a good or bad thing, something to avoid. So it's a great resource for cleaners, personal care products. They have all those categories for that. They also have help with your food here too. So that's a great resource for it. So what I want to do is I want to give you, here's the problems, but I also want to give you some solutions today. Okay? So look at our cleaners. Disinfectants, there's a lot in here, your fragrances, your colors, propylene glycol, that's used in hand sanitizer. It's also used in your deodorants. It's actually in even some of our food too, believe it or not. Essentially, part of it goes with, like you would talk about, like antifreeze, things like that. And that's on there. Cosmetics, with your cosmetics, now, I want to go through here. How many on here? What was it? Yes. They tested over 49 different cosmetics. Of those 49 cosmetics, 96% of them contain lead, 90% contain beryllium, 61 thallium, 51% cadmium, and 20% of them had arsenic. These are all heavy metals that are known to cause cancer and other problems. And it's in your makeup. What you put on your face, what you're putting on your skin, and your skin's your largest organ. So if you put it on your skin, if you can't put it on your skin, if you can't put it in your mouth, you shouldn't put it on your skin. Does that make sense? If you can't put it in your mouth, you shouldn't put it on your skin. But yet, what do women do? Well, predominantly women, putting makeup on, you're putting it right up by your eyes, right up by your nose, right up on your mouth. That's getting in there. Plus, your skin absorbs what you put on. It's your largest organ, and so it's getting in there. And then think, how many people do this on a daily basis? And so just being bombarded by it. So some of the better choices, obviously we talked about with cosmetics, obviously there's some more natural ones. EWG is going to find some better ones there. I'm not a makeup expert. But you want to, because as you can see, I am sans makeup. I don't wear makeup. And then, and we have Laura here. She's going to talk about some of the better options, like Norwex is a great option, especially with a lot of your cleaning products, especially some personal care products too. We're going to go through a couple other options too, but with that. And she's going to talk about some of those things here a little bit later. Polytetrafluoroethylene. You want to try and say that?
You're good.
Okay.
You got it.
So that's how you say it, but PTFE, if that makes it easier for you. But this is basically Teflon. This is Teflon. This is what makes your non-stick pans non-stick. What makes things not stick to them. This is a known cancer causer. But guess what it's also in? Your face masks. Your disposable face masks. And they use formaldehyde in it to help stick it to the aluminum pan. So guess what happens if your Teflon gets scratched? Now you're getting all the Teflon particles in your food, which is going in your body. Plus you're getting the formaldehyde that helps hold it there. And some of the aluminum that's the pan is made out of, because it conducts heat really well and it's light. So most pans are made out of aluminum. And this is what we end up doing, and we end up putting that in our body. Yeah. So what's a better choice instead of using your Teflon pans? What would be a better choice? Stainless steel is going to be your best. Cast iron, great. Cast iron gets pretty heavy, so it conducts, and you gotta take a lot more care with it, so it doesn't rust and things like that. So stainless steel is going to be your best option. There's lots of different places. And if you really need to update your cookware, what I recommend, we all get those. Everybody gets those like Bed Bath Beyond 20% off things in the mail. Take that and go to the store with 20% off when you're buying something that's going to cost $200 or more. That's my recommendation for you on that. If you're going to get something like that, say 20% on that. That's a big help. That's how I do it. So, but we want to stay with look at the things that causes this. Shortness of breath, headaches, cough, chills, sore throat. This is from getting. But yet, how many people are feeling these things on a daily basis, and they're cooking in this all, and they don't know that this is the cause. They're doing this to themselves. You're cooking yourself from the inside out. You're killing yourself. So like I said, we want to go into the stainless steel. It's going to be a much better choice. Yes.
Sorry. The thing I see anymore is like the ceramic coating.
Mm-hmm.
Is that any better?
Well, not any of the non-stick coatings are going to fall into that same category.
Okay.
And if it's coating, now if it was truly ceramic, that wouldn't be as bad. But if it's coated with, there's so many different things now. Oh, look, it's non-stick. If it's non-stick, there's a reason for that. So again, back with the stainless steel too. So how do you make it so your stuff doesn't stick? Well, you use oil. Coconut oil is going to be one of your best options on that. Making sure that do that. So you're going to have some of that. Will your food never stick? No, it might stick a little bit, but you can use a little elbow grease, getting it off a little bit. And there's and you have some cleaning products that help get that off. So there's some solutions for that, right? So she does. So she'll be able to help you with that here. So that's going to be the better choice, always on that. Talk about microplastics. This is in a lot of your storage containers. Because what do we typically do when we have leftovers? Put it in the plastic storage container, and then put it in the refrigerator, right? So just like your plastic water bottle, same thing. Have you ever heard me say how you shouldn't have that out, leave that in your car in the winter, and then it's going to freeze, and then it expands, and that plastic is leaching into that water. If it's in the summer, it's going to get hot, it's going to be leaching in the water. Well, your plastics do the same thing. Now, here's the thing. I want to get some of the stats I had on plastics here. Yeah, so they tested water in U.S., Europe, India, and they found an estimated average person drinks 1,769 plastic particles from tap water every day. 1,769 plastic particles from your tap water every day. Think about that.
Straight from the tap or like?
That's from the tap.
Filtered at all?
That's non-filtered. Is what it is. In the U.S., 94% of all tap water samples contain plastic fibers. 94% in the U.S. It was 82% for India and 72% for Europe. But the U.S. was 94% of all tap water samples had plastic fibers in them. So that's what we're putting in our body. We're putting plastic into our body. And so that's just from the tap water. Now, this is one of the things that public health found, that 90% of those tested from 2016 to 2017 had 8 different plasticizers in their urine. So this plastic is going through, obviously it's in our urine, so it's still going in the water system that way here too. And that all doesn't get filtered out. Obviously the more filtration in your water, the better, which we're going to talk about water here in a little bit here too. And obviously the more you can filter it, the better it's going to be. But they can't get everything out. So this is what we're going to talk about. This is why your microplastics. So a better choice using glass. Glass is going to be a much better storage for your leftovers or anything like that. That's what we use in our house. We use glass instead. So we want to avoid the plastic. Your Tupperware, it's still plastic. So also we look at some other ways to avoid those plastics. Things. Frequently dusting, vacuuming. Those reusable grocery bags instead of using the plastic bags that we carry our food in from Target and every place else. Right? Got a million of those type things. So those plastics are getting into everything. So that's what we're being exposed to on a daily basis, and that's just in the water and that. But not to mention how many other ways we're being exposed to plastic. Yes.
Why are we supposed to avoid dusting and vacuuming?
Not avoid.
Avoid.
Sorry. So you want to make sure you're clean, but again, when depends on how you're. So when you're vacuuming your carpet, what's your carpet made out of? This plastic, so it's blowing that up in there. So a better choice would be to not have carpet.
Right, yeah.
Is what this is saying here with that. Sorry.
Okay.
So let me clarify. Thank you for asking. Good question. So that's what we want to be. We don't want to be. Say if you're constantly blowing that up, like if you're vacuuming your house every day on all your shag carpeting, right? Which you need to do that. You need to clean up. But again, that's those type of things that you're breathing in. Right. So you ever been in I know when they put the carpet in here, the glue from it alone. That's a whole nother aspect of the toxins that you're breathing in. So again, we can't avoid all toxins. It's just impossible. Even when I was putting the wood on the walls here, and I had to using the saw and cutting it, there's sawdust. I blow my nose and there's the dark color sawdust in the mucus, from blowing my nose. We're breathing in. That means my nose is doing the right thing. It was filtering out, catching that stuff, so it wasn't going into my body completely. But some of it got through, right? So those are the type of things we want to avoid avoiding those. Your air quality. This kind of goes right in it. So air quality. Now there's so much that we can do about that. One of the best things, get a good quality air filter. Change the filter in your furnace first of all. That was so funny over the last couple of years how people were wearing these horrible masks. And they're talking about breathing with a mask, but yet at the same time, they haven't changed their house filter for the furnace filter for the last 7 years, and it's it is the nastiest thing ever. Why don't you go change that here first? Because you're breathing that in constantly, right? We cannot do a whole lot about the air outside. What you're breathing, what you're in, the environment that you're in. Just trying to stay away from the certain areas where there's a lot. We know places like LA or China and stuff like this. There's a lot of smog. Thank God we don't have a lot of that here in Iowa. We have different other type of things we're breathing. We're breathing in the chemicals from the offspray from the fields, things like that.
In the factories around here.
Yeah, in factories too. Obviously here we don't have much for factories compared to a more urban environment, but so the best thing to do is here in the house. And we're going to talk about there. Actually, right now they say that the air in your house is actually what was it? I I want to get the right number here. It's over, it was, I want to say over 100 times more, 50 to 100 times more toxic in your house than outside. In your home, from the paint on the walls, the glue on the carpet, all this different stuff. So we're talking about the air in your house. Is that because we've gotten so good at sealing up your house? And remember, it used to be the draft in the house. Stuff like we don't have that anymore. We're gotten so good at sealing everything up that now it's all stuck inside. It doesn't get out, and so we're just breathing that in constantly. And so the quality air. So get a good air filtration system at your home and change it regularly. A HEPA filter, the carbon filter, something like that. I have a great example. The one I have there, that's what I have at my house. I have 2 of those at my home too. Is the one that we have over there running. It works good. I've even seen that same one recommended for a bunch of other ones too. There's lots of different examples on that, but anything would be better than nothing. And there's lots of different examples that we want to help improve the air quality that you have in your house, especially that you're breathing in on a daily basis. Water, right? So water's a big one. Now, with water, that average person drinks about or consumes about 25 gallons of contaminated water every day. If you take a 15-minute shower, that's the equivalent of drinking, because your skin absorbs the water. It's the equivalent of drinking 8 toxic glasses of water. This is your shower, right? So what are some of the chemicals that are in the water that in your city water, your tap water, right? Chlorine, fluoride, right? Those are just some big ones that we know. If you're in Cedar Rapids, it's actually chloramine, not chloride. But what happens when you get, like my wife, she likes a nice, hot, steamy shower. She wants it to be a steam room. She wants it to be all nice. I walk in and I can't see anything. It's cloudy, right? The mirror's all fogged over. But what happens when you heat that water up? It becomes steam. Remember physics class? It changes phases, gaseous state, right? What happens with chlorine when it becomes a gas state? It becomes chloroform. What do you use chloroform for? It's when people put it on around and you probably pass out, right? As you see in all the movies, right? That's the thing. But that's what happens. So you ever notice you take a long, hot, steamy shower, you're all relaxed and kind of tired, I just want to lay down for a while? Does that make sense now? And so this is the things that we're putting in our body. So you're exposing yourself to that constantly as we're doing this. So better choice, keep a shorter shower, obviously. Shower is going to be better than a bath because you're not going to be at it as long unless you're in a really quick bath. But our water is huge on that. And there's over 84,000 chemicals that are found in our tap water, including pesticides, chlorine, VOCs, and a lot of others. Let me see. Yeah, that's why that turns into chloroform. But yeah, that's a 15 minutes shower. That's a long shower for me. But I don't know. So I know people who like to do that. Take a long shower. Is 8 glasses of that contaminated water. So one of the best. Here's a solution: get a whole house filtration system. That's going to be one of your best choices. That's what I've done. The brand that I have in my house is Aquasana. There's lots of other brands. You can get Culligan. You can get a bunch of other ones too. There's a whole different price range in there too. You can get really expensive, or you can go, relatively. It's going to cost something to do, especially for a whole house. First things first, if nothing else, get something to put on your tap, or at least a pitcher filter. Everybody can do that. You can get that for under $20. But
do you have a suggestion for like showers for people that have like an apartment and or like a condo and like they can't? I guess condos maybe you could do that, but can't put in those filtration systems.
Yes, there's some shower filters you can get for them too. I have a couple different places I can give you for solutions if that's what you're looking for your shower ones. Yeah. You can get a shower filter for that, and then you can get a lot of places you can still at least get the pitcher if nothing else, but you might even be able to get a reverse osmosis for your drinking water. That's going to be your best choice. Now, I have the whole house filtration system and a reverse osmosis for my drinking water. Now, sometimes my kids get water out of the fridge, but that's still going through the whole house filter and through the filter that's in the fridge. So it's getting filtered at least a good 2-3 times before it gets to us. So it's catching a lot of this stuff. Is it perfect? No. But it's at least catching a lot of this stuff, so we're not being exposed to as much of this. Another thing in the water, fluoride. Fluoride is also affects your brain, affects your mind, and actually makes you more pliable. You're more compliant when you have a lot of fluoride. That doesn't make you think nowadays, right? So, moving on. But so get a filtration system. If you don't have something for at least your drinking water, for your shower, really easy to do. Shower ones aren't very expensive. Like I said, you can get the stuff for your drinking ones. Change your refrigerator filter for your water too, because your ice cubes, all that stuff. Change that frequently. Don't just keep it there for forever and never change it. It's just like your furnace filter. Change that regularly. You should change it at least every 6 months, if not sooner. Those are those type of things that you should change regularly. Your filters. Your filter, if you have a filter like an air filter in your house, something like that, you should be changing that regularly and doing that so that, because if you pull it out and it's dirty, you know it's time to change it. So, and of course, especially depending on where you're living, you'll see more of the dirt and stuff depending on, and dust you'll see on some a lot more than others. The toxins in our food. So monosodium glutamate, anyone know what another name for that? MSG, right? What do you think about when you hear MSG?
Chinese food.
So that's what everybody thinks about Chinese food, right? So what is it? It's basically a flavor enhancer. It makes everything taste better, right? But it's extremely toxic. Aspartame, anyone know what that is?
Sugar.
It's a sugar alternative, right? That is a direct cancer causer, right? Nitrates, where are those usually found? Where do we think of when we hear nitrates? Like your lunch meat, like your meats, things like that. If you go to the store and you're buying some red meat, and you ever go to buy a store and you look at the color of the red on there and you go, that doesn't look quite right. Especially if you've ever grown up where around hunters, farm, anything like that, you see actually really real meat after something's been cut open. I mean, you know what the color of blood is. Sometimes you look at the store and you're like, that's almost like fluorescent color. That's the nitrates, and the nitrates they've added into it to help preserve it. Do you need it to be preserved? I don't. I'm not trying to falsely stay here longer than I should. I don't need preservatives in me, right? No one's eating either. So like I said, we went with that. So we want to stay away from those nitrates. Your color, food colorings. If you're reading it, so what you're doing in your food, make sure you read your ingredients. When you're reading the ingredients, if there's a color and a number with it, put it back. Right? We'll look at your refined oils, genetically modified. So we're talking about, again, Environmental Working Group has, we're talking about the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen here just a little bit. So obviously the solution is buy organic. That's going to be your best solution. Not everything you buy has to be organic, but it's always going to be the better choice with that. And there's so many places to get it nowadays. It used to be like really hard to find organic food. Now you can find organic meat, organic vegetables and fruits, Target, Walmart, Hy-Vee, Aldi. I mean, every one of them, National Grocery, all those places all have that. So that's a great thing to do. But so here's the Dirty Dozen, and there's the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Now the Dirty Dozen, these are the ones that have the most pesticides, the most toxins they're exposed to. These are typically like things that we're going to eat the outside. Typically. Now you have fruits or vegetables that we don't eat the outside, more like say a watermelon or avocado. We're not eating the outside of it. That doesn't necessarily have to be as much, but it does change year to year how they rate that. So Environmental Working Group, EWG, they have the app. They actually have the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen app. So when you're going to the store, you just pull it up and like, yep, that's one I need to be organic on that. So strawberries is a really, really big one. My family, that's kind of one of the standards that when I go to the store, I know every time I can buy a thing of organic strawberries, I think of organic blueberries, I think of organic blackberries or raspberries, because that's what we eat in our house on a regular basis. That's one of our standard fruits. Very low glycemic, but you want to make sure that they're organic on this.
And lately the raspberries I've been noticing is the same price as the conventional, so you can find deals.
Exactly, you can, depends on where you go and what you look for, yep. Spinach, kale, apples are another big one you want to be organic with that. Peaches, and your tomatoes too. Those are all those ones you want to really make sure that, because they get a lot of spray on them to avoid the bugs, things like that. There's a toxic bioaccumulation here also. So what that means, essentially there's a big pyramid, right? We have, it's not just what we eat, It's what we ate. Does that make sense? Especially when we're talking about our meats, our animal products, right? So it's not that we ate the cow, right? That we got the hamburger. It's what the cow ate, or what that ate, right? And so we look at that. Just so I use the example of corn because we got plenty of corn here, right? And it's sprayed with Roundup and everything else, right? And so much so that we know in Iowa, we know that we don't eat the corn that's out in the field here. We know we don't eat that. But guess what they use that for? Feed for the cows. So then when the cows eat this stuff that's too toxic for us to eat, what happens to the toxic level? So now it takes 8 pounds of organic material of corn to create about 1 pound of meat. So that meat is now 8 times more toxic than that corn. Does that make sense with the math here? Then we eat that meat. We don't eat just the 1 pound. We have the double patty, right? The half pound, the quarter pound, whatever. We eat more than we should anyway. And then so that's just going in us, right? See how that works? It's a toxic bioaccumulation. So we're at the top of the food chain, so we're getting multiple factors of what's down here. So that's why when I think if you're going to change first, you want to change your meats. Make sure it's organic, grass-fed meat. When you're talking about beef, you want free-range, organic, hormone-free, antibiotic-free chicken, right? You want wild-caught Pacific salmon, things like that. Now, seafood, we want to be avoiding the like your bottom feeders. You know what a bottom feeder is? Like your shrimp, your crab, your lobster, those things. They live on the bottom, right? It tastes good, but they live on the bottom. But guess what they eat? The droppings of everything that's above it. Yeah, that's kind of gross, right? That's why I don't eat shrimp or any of that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I still like crab legs. They sound and taste great, but how often do I eat crab legs? Especially being we live in Iowa. Maybe once a year, if that. And so, okay, again, dose, right? My dose is pretty low, right? I went on spring break with my family. My wife and I at one restaurant, we split some crab legs. I only go on spring break once a year. We're in Florida. That was the time to do it. So that toxic bioaccumulation, that really adds up. Just like everything, it's not that you did that one time. It's not that you used hairspray the one day. It's that the person that uses that every day that really adds up. You know, I go back to the 80s, right? A couple cans of it, right? You know? Right? So, because none of you guys did that, right? No. Sheila's over there. Oh yeah, I did. But yeah, so we're gonna look at your supplements too. Here's another big one: your supplements. So people are trying to do the right thing, trying to add to, because we know we're not getting enough nutrients from the food that we're taking in. So we want to make sure that but we take these supplements. But a lot of your supplements are really bad too. There's a lot of additives, a lot of things being put into there. So first things first, we want to make sure there's no artificial flavors, colors, or additives in your foods and so in your supplements. So again, you got to read the labels. That's the thing on all this stuff. You got to read the label. And again, if you can't pronounce it, you don't know what it is, put it back, right? So we want to make sure there's none of those things in there first. We want to get as closest to the natural form as possible. So it's bioavailability. We want to make sure that your body can actually use what you're putting in it. Does that make sense? So it's got to be in the right form. And I know a lot of you guys don't know that off the top of your head. If you have questions about your supplements, I urge you anytime we can set up a time, bring in whatever you're taking, and we can talk about what's going to help you. I'll help you work through that. So this is why I like the Max Living stuff. It's all Judy's GMP certified, FDA registered, NSF certified. Those are all different organizations that actually monitor the quality of what's in it. It's 100% gluten free, 100% GMO free, no artificial sweeteners, and the actual guarantee of what it's supposed to be in there is actually in it at the level that it's supposed to be. Where unfortunately that's not the case in the great majority of the supplements out there. Now there's some good and some bad. There's a whole spectrum, but very generally, if you're going to Walmart and getting Walmart brand supplements, you're getting Walmart quality. Does that make sense? And that doesn't mean that the more you pay necessarily equals the better, but you want to make sure you're getting what you're paying for. Does that make sense? So the cheapest is the one that actually has the right stuff in it. Does that make sense? Because if you're taking a bunch of stuff that doesn't even have in it what it is, or very little of what it's supposed to be, you're not getting much bang for your buck. You're actually wasting it. You gotta make sure it's in, like I said, in that bioavailability. Make sure it's in a state that your body can actually use, otherwise you're just going right through you. So this is why I like the Max Living stuff, and I've seen it all the way through the whole spectrum. This is the best brand line that I've been able to find so far across the board. There's some things that are good in every little thing, but this has been the best one that I've been able to find with it, and that's why I like this stuff. So detox system, this is one. So obviously we're talking about toxicity. This is one of the things I recommend. If not doing it on a daily basis, but at least quarterly, going through the detox system. So what's cool about the detox system? It has two different parts in here. This is what I like about it. It has two different parts. The first part is the cell detox. Now this has all the precursors for glutathione. Now glutathione is your body's natural detoxifier. It can actually get into every cell in your body, not just your liver or just your gallbladder or just anything else. It can get into every cell in your body all the way in, get through that cell wall, actually binds to those toxins and helps pull that out. Now, once we get it out of the cell, we don't want it just to go to another cell and sit there, right? Because that's a lot of times what happens if you can get that far. Most don't even get that far. But then you have the second part, which is the body detox. So this is essentially activated charcoal. You guys remember chemistry class, carbon atom? Everything kind of sticks to a carbon atom. It's going to help pull that out of there. Now the question I get from everybody, and from almost everybody right away, no, it's not a diuretic. No, you're not going to have to go to the bathroom. It's not going to affect any of those things. This is something that you can do. It's actually a very gentle cleanse, and it's a whole body, whole cell cleanse. It's not just a bowel cleanse or something like that. You're not going to have to run to the bathroom. You're probably not going to even notice anything at all. The only things I recommend with it, make sure you're drinking enough water. So you want to drink at least half a gallon of water on a daily basis, and you want to make sure, and for the best results, eating off advanced plan is going to help that too. But you should be doing this at least once a quarter is what I recommend for most people, especially the toxic environment that we're living in nowadays and what we're doing. This is what I try and do at least once a quarter. So about 4 times a year. It comes in a 30-day supply. You take 2 pills in the morning before you eat breakfast. You take 2 pills right before you go to bed at night. Really simple, really easy. That's what I recommend for most people. Do that. It's actually pretty general for stuff that way.
Does that answer your questions? I had a few questions about that.
And so here's another one, your mindset, right? Because that's another one of our essentials, right? So toxic negativity. You ever know that person that's just negative Nelly or whatever? That's just, we all have those people in our lives. One of the best things is obviously not engage into that, right? And we can all go to that place. We all have that bad day, want to complain, want to do all sorts of things. So how do we deal with this? Well, first of all, don't surround yourself with that. Obviously, we want to surround yourself with not that everything is hunky dory and sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. That's not life, is it? But it's what is our outlook on it? How do we handle those things? So we all have those bad things happen to us on a daily basis. But how do we look at that? How do we take part in that? And how do we move forward from that? Yeah, bad stuff happens. Okay, that's past. Now, how do we look forward for the future? How do we change it? How do we make that better? How do we improve those things? And that's okay, because we're all going to have a bad day, right? But are you surrounding yourself with people that are grateful and in a state of gratitude, right? If you start, one of the best things you can do is start your morning with gratitude. And believe me, we have so much to be grateful for. No matter what's going on in your life, we have first world problems here. We have garages so full of so much stuff that we can't even park our cars in our garage. We don't even just have a house. We have a house for our car. You go to other countries, they don't have a car, they don't have a house, they don't have any of those things. We are so blessed. We have so much. We can go to a grocery store and get any type of food you want, any time of the year. How crazy is that? We're so enabled on so many things. We have technology. We've actually now, especially after the last 2 years, people don't even leave their house. They don't even leave their couch and they have it delivered to them. Whatever they want, delivered from groceries to you name it, to any type of food. We are so blessed. There's so much to be grateful for. We need to recognize that. And once you start off that way, you're going to have a much, much better day. You're going to have a much, much better outlook on the rest of your day, rest of your life. And that bleeds off into other people you're around. Believe me, if you're starting off with a positive attitude, it's going to help so many other people here too. We get to deal with that on a daily basis. We have so many patients that come in here that are in pain. They hurt, and when you're in pain and you're hurt, are you happy? No, you're grumpy usually, right? So we have people that come in here, they're grumpy, they get adjusted, we're pouring into them. Guess what? They're practically skipping out and they give us hugs. And we get to see that happen every day. So that just builds us up even more, which we send on to the next person, and just, it's a big thing. So that's why I love doing what I get to do, because no matter how bad my day is, I get to meet somebody that I don't want to trade places with. And that's a blessing that I have, because I get to see those things and see that. It helps, gives me that reminder of, like, no matter how bad my day is going, it could always be a lot worse, right? And be grateful for the things that we do have and what we get to do. So stay away from that toxic negativity. So one of the things is we want to remove stress, because that's the biggest way we see a lot of this negative. What's the first one? Social media, right? Stuck on our phones, all the junk that's on there. The social media warriors, the keyboard warriors, those are the people that are always putting out the negative stuff, trying to beat up anybody who's doing anything great. And so fast from the news. Have you ever seen anything on the media or news that's positive and uplifting? It's like so few and far between now, and it only gets a blip of this much, but sex, drugs, murder, that's what sells, and that's what gets people's attention, right? Fear. Another one, say no. That's a hard one for some of us, right? Saying no. Yeah. You can't keep a straight face and say no more often. Say yes to yourself and no to those things. Another one, do a family adventure. Do something with your family dinner time. When you put the phone down, put the phone away, right? That's one of the biggest things. Put that down. And you ever go to a restaurant nowadays and you look out and you see everyone is they're sitting there, everyone's got their phone out and no one's actually talking to each other. They're actually texting each other or sending messages to each other at the same table and laughing and doesn't. Hi, how are you? Yeah, talk to each other. They're right there. It's amazing. War plan your week. I know my wife. I have to have my Google Calendar to everything going on. My wife texted me yesterday. It's too cold. I can't believe they're having practice tonight for baseball practice. It's too cold and windy. It's worse than the last summer. And I said, don't worry. They don't have it tonight. They have it tomorrow night. It's Tuesday and Thursday, not Monday. Oh, I forgot about that. Right? We got to keep our stuff straight. We got to have our war plan to know what's going on what day. So plan it out. That makes everything go a lot better. So, journaling. This is another great one. Actually, writing down your thoughts, writing down what's going on. That helps you deal with what you have here also. That's another big one. Date night with your spouse and with your kids. That's really important. Getting those things in. Being able to have that away time, that time to think, that time to actually engage with each other. You will be surprised what that does for your relationships, what that does for your outlook. So just even going through the different relationships, different phases in life. Kids are difficult at times. Spouses are difficult at times. Some days you want to wring their neck, whether it be your kids or your spouse. I don't know which, maybe both. But you have this time together. You're surprised how much better those things are, and you have those feelings a lot less. There's always going to be days you're going to be frustrated with the people around you. It's life. I tell my team here, I was like, some days you're going to not like me. Guess what? Some days I'm not going to like you either. But yet we're still family, we're still together, we still work together, we still love each other. So
always love each other.
And also prioritize your downtime. Now this is like again, the concurrence big. This goes along with saying no. This is huge for, I call it mom's disease, because what do moms do? They take care of everybody else, and then just maybe, if there's enough time at the end of the day, you might do something for yourself. But does that time ever come? No. Prioritize your personal time. Put that in the schedule, put it in the war plan. That is a do not pass go. You do not do anything without getting that in. That is so vital for your own sanity, for your own mental aspect, for your stress levels. You gotta put that in and spend that time for you. That's quality time for you. Now that can be a lot of different things. It can be whether it be a bubble bath, and maybe it's a glass of wine at the end of the night in a bubble bath. I don't care. Or maybe it's a good book. Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's a cup of coffee in the morning. Wherever that is, getting that time in for yourself to make sure that you're able to have that away time to de-stress. Does that make sense? So in our detox your mind, it's not about the technology, it's the existential threat, it's the technology's ability to bring the worst out in society That's really the existential threat. So it's not necessarily the technology, it's what the technology causes us to do and where we go from that. So exercise is one of our other essentials, right? Why is exercise so important when we're talking about toxicity?
Sweat it out.
You're literally sweating it out, right? Yeah, have you ever heard the saying, sweat is your fat crying, right? That's what it is. And guess where we store our toxins? In our fat. This is why you say in the Bible, pork is an unclean meat, because pork is a very fatty meat. So guess where all the toxins are? So we're taking in those toxins. That's why we're not supposed to eat meat. It's not unclean because it's a pig that wallows in the mud. It's because it's a very fatty meat and we're taking in. That's why you shouldn't have a lot of pork, if you will. And so exercise is so important. That's how we're sweating. That's how we're getting those toxins out on a daily basis. I have the privilege to be able to work with so many wrestlers, and believe me, you know how they cut weight so fast. And that a lot of that's water weight because they're in such great shape and they're sweating so much. Their body is so tuned in that they can go into the room wearing just shorts, a t-shirt, and a sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and within minutes, it looks like they jumped in a pool. They're just completely soaked head to toe because their body is that efficient at that point. Now, granted, most of these are in their 20s, but still, they're able to do that, and they've tuned their body to do it because they're sweating so much and getting rid of those toxins on a regular basis. Guess what happens when you're sweating a lot too? It also helps get those toxins, out. So you're talking about your complexion, things like that. It's going to help get that out better. If we have a lot of acne, particularly, you're very toxic. It's those things trying to get out of your skin. Especially if you see someone, you ever see a woman in her 40s that has acne? I can tell you right away, she's toxic. So her body's toxic, it's not getting rid of everything like it needs to. She more likely has some gut issues too, things like that. So exercise is so important at detoxing your body. So you should sweat. And one of your great goals is sweat every day. Doesn't mean you have to do a crazy hard workout, crazy anything else, but at least get to the point where you sweat every day. Does that make sense? So that's one of my friends did a mantra of that, and that's what she did. Said, I sweat every day. She did a workout. Some workouts are a little harder than other ones and things like that, but she got to the point where she was sweating every single day. She lost a lot of weight, feels amazing, major transformation. But it was just, that was her mantra. I sweat every day. Real simple. So sweat releases those toxins. So then we talk about, well, what is health? First, I mean, that's 100% of function. It's when your body's functioning and healing at 100%. So how do we get there? We got to make sure that everything's working. We can put the best food in the world in our body, but if your stomach's not working, it doesn't matter. So that's when we look at how is your body functioning? How is your body's natural defenses? Your body has a natural things to help detox your body, has these pathways to help get rid of these toxins. But if it's not working like it's supposed to, it can't get there. And just like if you're missing an organ, that can't do that job. So that's why we look at your nervous system. We know that's what controls everything. We know your brain controls every single thing. It has to get down your spinal cord, out your nerves, to every cell, muscle, organ in your body. For your heart to beat, for your lungs to breathe, for your stomach to digest food, for your body to fight cancer, all that has to get through there. But if I cut the nerve or put pressure on it, that's not going to get through like it needs to. The body starts shutting down and it doesn't work like it needs to. And we go down and our function is less than 100%, 60%, 40% or less. That's when we start really developing cancer, heart disease, diabetes, etc. That's when we have those disease processes happening, when our body's not functioning like it needs to because it cannot do the job it needs to, it cannot detox, it cannot process, it cannot assimilate like it needs to. So that's when we look at your nervous system. That's what controls everything, is your nervous system. And we know that is the key. Obviously, that's what we focus on, that's what we talk about every single day in this office, because we know that is the key to everything, is your nervous system. We cannot operate, if you think about it, you can talk about food, right? You know you can last about almost 40 days without eating. Average person can last almost 40 days, a whole month without eating. Talk about Lent, 40 days, right? Can't make sure the whole time. People actually do this without eating that whole time. You can't last more than a week without water. How long can you last without air? How long can you hold your breath, right? Minutes, right? Minutes for some people, right? How long can you last without a nerve impulse? Not even a second. The brain has to tell the heart to beat, tells to everything else. When are you dead? When there's no nerve impulse going through there. That's when you're dead. So your nervous system is the most important thing in your life. So it's maintaining it. So that's for you guys that are patients, making sure you're keeping your appointments for your adjustments. That's making sure that you're doing your home care on a daily basis. But with this, we look at how many people are just like it, have all these warning signs just like this. There's only just a couple here, from colds to depression, numbness and tingling, neck pain, back pain, fatigue, dizziness. These are things that we see in here all the time. People coming with that have damaged their nervous system, so it's not functioning. So if you know someone that has any of these things, for what they need to do, they need to get checked, see what's going on, make sure that that's not causing nerve interference in their body, so causing their body to not function or heal the way it should. That's why we always have our patient appreciation days. That's why we have our community dinner that's coming up here, which is on your little card that you have there. So if you want to come to dinner, I take everybody out to dinner, right? When's the last time your doctor took you out to dinner? Right? Okay, sounds like it's a good deal, right? I take you out to dinner and I pay for it. And I ask you to bring a friend. Bring someone who's not a patient, who's never heard the message before, never heard any of these things before. We're going to tell them about it, take them out to our meal, and if they have something, they want some help, we'll show them how to do it. Great thing to do. That's what we love to do here. It's one of the most fun things, because who doesn't like to go out for a free dinner, right? I love it. It's I get to know you guys, hang out with you guys a little bit more. I get to meet some of your friends, the people that make you who you are. It's a lot of fun. So that's why we have those things coming up here. So your action steps, make sure you fill that out. We talked about all the things you need to do to help detox your life, detox your body, your supplements, your food, your nutrition, your cleaning products, all those things. So make sure you do that. And then make sure you connect with us too. We have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you're following us on all those things. Be able to keep up on all the things, all the activities, the events, the pop-up things that we're doing, so that you're still staying plugged in, because that's how you stay on track. Because we all get distracted and pulled away all the time. This is how you stay on track, is being involved, being engaged, just like you guys are by being here tonight. So with that, I want to have Laura, said you wanted to explain a couple things. She's going to talk about some of the cleaning products up here, some of the personal care products, and she's going to talk about some other options here. Especially she's going to particularly talk about Norwex as a better option when we talk about that. So.
Hi everyone. Hi. Most of you know me. My name is Laura. I have been selling Norwex for about 6.5 to 7 years. I actually made the switch to Norwex when my face soap was being discontinued. I have very sensitive skin, and so like most soaps would actually make it feel like I had a chemical burn on my face. So I went to a party one time, and the host was like telling me about the body cloths. So I bought some body cloths, and I've been a Norwex lover ever since. I have not had to use a face soap or worry about anything like that for about 7 years now. So kind of like what Dr. Dietz was saying, Norwex offers a lot of products. We are not technically chemical free, because whenever you combine multiple items, it's considered a chemical. We are, however, a company that helps you reduce your chemical footprint and your waste footprint on the world today. So some of our products, like I'm gonna talk about like the laundry soap. This is 200 loads of laundry. Believe it or not, 200 loads compared to your big Tide jug. So you talk about your waste, big jug versus this, 200 loads, and it's not toxic like your Tide with all the additives, fillers, and stuff that's sitting on your skin all day. This also comes with a pump that's pre-measured, 1 pump for small, 2 for medium, 3 for large. I have never used a large, not even on my jeans or bedding. Cost is about $30, compared to your Tide is still about $20 to $30 as well. So it's not like it's that much more expensive, it just seems like it. Another thing that I can do with Norwex is most of these chemicals you see right here, I can replace that with 2 cloths. An Enviro cloth and a window cloth. Sorry, I grabbed the one that's a mitt, but you can clean your whole house with these 2 cloths and water. Can you imagine taking these 2 things around versus a whole tub of those? These are guaranteed for 2 years and will run you about $35. You will probably spend $35 on chemicals and paper towels alone in 2 years versus this. And it's less toxic, you're not breathing in those fumes. I am actually allergic to bleach, so whenever they start spraying bleach on tables, I have to leave, because otherwise I have an asthma attack. So for me, this is like a godsend. And that's really all I have today for Norwex, so thank you, Dr. Dietz.
That brought up something I want to think about. So like, talking about your cleaners, talking about like toilet bowl cleaner, right? That's one of the most toxic ones there are. You ever clean the toilet? You gotta leave the room because it's so bad, right? Well, there's hydrochloric acid is one of the things in there. There's also ammonia, and especially with urine, you're gonna have ammonia anyway. But if you have chlorine and ammonia, what happens there? It turns to chloroform, and it's actually, if you look it up, that's actually kind of where you get that gas, that mustard gas. You will pass out. It causes you to have headaches, things like that. That's why you can't use a bunch of those things together when you're cleaning. You gotta be very safe about those things. Turn on the exhaust fan, leave the room, open the window, whatever like that. But that's the cleaning products that most people are using on a regular basis. And like I said, if it can do that to you, to just make your toilet look cleaner, I mean, there's better choices out there. And so make sure you're making those better choices with those things so you're not doing that. Yes.
Do you have a suggestion for like someone that's trying to clean out their cleaning chemicals, like where we can take them to so they're disposed the correct way and not?
Laura has that answer. She's excited to tell us.
Obviously, I've done my research. Actually, here in Cedar Rapids, the County Home Road Waste Center actually will take your chemicals for free.
So do you just take it to them in a bag and say like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm getting rid of these
they'll
chemicals?
They'll make sure it goes the right.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, sweet.
Yep, that's what was gonna be my answer. So great, awesome. Yeah, don't just throw a full bottle of
Yeah, I don't want
of
to throw
stuff
it
in there.
away.
It's just gonna go in the landfill, which is just gonna go eventually into our water system eventually. And yeah, so, you wanna make sure it gets disposed of the best way possible. Not that that's perfect what they do there either, but it's better so it's not just all going in with everything else.
And dumping it in your toilet or down the sink really is just gonna put the chemicals back into the water that we drink or bathe in, so.
Yeah.
100%. Any other questions? Thank you so much for coming tonight, ladies. I really appreciate you guys.